Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another quick pick prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the middleweight bout between Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. And high seats right here is I'm going Chris Curtis. I'm going to go average confidence Chris Curtis. And I could definitely see the case where these sharps are saying, like, let's go with Kelvin Gastelum. He hasn't won a fight in like 20 years, but he's still actually younger than Chris Curtis. He's still that young Ultimate Fighter winner. What, he's the youngest Ultimate Fighter and winner in history. He still got that young youthfulness to him. So he's younger. Yes, he lost his last 20 fights, but hey, Chris Curtis just blocks, and he was waits for that big moment to land a shot, and that's how all his wins have come. So it is pretty sharp thinking. We're the sharps. I don't know who you guys are, but you're the sharps. The sharps are saying Kelvin Gastelum to just throw up more output, and Chris Curtis just to be looking for that one big counter shot. But I have been that guy on Chris Curtis. Every single time I have picked against Chris Curtis, I have picked for that same exact logic, and every single time it has bit me on the butt. Every single time that I picked against Chris Curtis, it has been for that reason, and every single time it has bit me on the butt. And I just can't. And also, him as a dog, and him is this logic that the other person is going to just throw more volume, and they're going to beat him just simply to output. They're simply going to beat an output. So that has been it. And yes, Kelvin Gastelum is definitely more of a striker than with the Buckleys and the Phil Halls for sure. Like, he's not just a chinny guy that's originally a wrestler that's trying to throw hands and it's like muscle bound and gets tired and then is defensively negligent. Like, Kelvin Gastelum always defensively negligent for the most part, outside of like that one time against Chris Weidman and Bisbing. Like, other than that, like, I just use his chin as his defense like 90% of the times. But he has an iron chin and he has the ability to strike for 3-5 rounds, or at least that's shown to it, unless he declined. So this is definitely a better guy than the guys I did pick against Chris Curtis. What I did, like the Phil Halls and again Joaquin Buckley's and even with Brendan Allen 3 times, and all 3 times he knocked him out. But again, Gastelum got a chin, so is he going to knock Gastelum out? Like, kind of hard thing to say. Definitely possible. Gastelum made it a steal. He has been dropped several times in the last couple fights. Got dropped like 4 or 5 times by Israel Adesanya. And he got dropped twice by what's his name? Cannonier. He got dropped like twice by him. I think they only counted one. But I think he got dropped like 2 or 3 times, to be honest. But he definitely got dropped one legitimate time. But I think it was 2 legitimate drops, but they only counted one as legitimate. But got hit with a clean power shot, got sat down, but they only scored one as a knockdown. So it's not like his chin is fully set. I think Chris Curtis' boxing is much sharper than Cannonier. Not as hard of a hitter as Cannonier, but much sharper, much crisper hands than Cannonier. So I'm going Chris Curtis here. I can't pick against him in this spot. He's a dog for whatever reason. It's a guy who hasn't won in a long time. He's the bigger, longer guy, which he typically doesn't have that advantage in most fights. And I think he has a sharper, cleaner boxing overall. I think he has a sharper defense and activity where I feel like it could definitely end up being like a Cannonier fight. I feel like Chris Curtis is going to land cleaner and harder than it might even outland him, but I think the biggest thing is that he's going to land cleaner or harder and flusher than Kelvin Gastelum. I feel like he might be able to get a drop or 2 in these fights. I'm gonna say if there was a little bet, maybe plus 500, he gets a drop of Kelvin Gastelum, I will put money on that for sure. Plus 500, plus 300, plus 200, anything plus 200 or more, I will put some coins on that for Chris Curtis to get a drop of Gastelum, at least 1 drop, maybe even go for 2. But I feel like he get a drop of Gastelum. I don't think he knocks him out again. Gastelum has a lot of heart, a lot of chin. You know, he's been beaten up over these past couple years. He's still got that dog in him. But I think Chris Curtis is just the cleaner striker, better defense. And I think he'll land a cleaner, flusher shots and be the more consistent fighter out there. And Chris Curtis in a dog spot, and the logic to him losing is a guy that's just going to simply outwork him. And then him as a dog against a guy that hasn't been looking the best for years. This is written in Chris Curtis with the minor upset again, possibly by knockout. But I'm going to say decision. I think he gets a couple drops. Probably feel like it's kind of similar to the Cannonier fight, but Chris Curtis don't really do a whole lot of leg kicks, so obviously ain't going to be the same fight, different fighters. More of a boxing matchup. But Chris Curtis has been more clean with his boxing, more fundamental, better defense, and landing the sharper shots. Probably get like a drop in a significant round to put him over. Probably a close round that maybe Gas lands more, but Chris Curtis lands harder and more consistent, or flusher. Then a round where Chris Curtis gets a drop of him, and probably a round where maybe Gastelum does win just more output. But Chris Curtis winning probably a clear 29-28, well, a close 29-28 unanimous decision over Kelvin Gastelum here. So in this one, I got Chris Curtis via decision.